Today on the Commanders Report, we have a brand new trade target that we have not discussed this offseason here on the Commanders Report that might be a good opportunity for the Commanders heading into 2024. We'll talk about that first up. Then we'll go into Benjamin St-Juste and why he needs to step up for the 2024 season if this Commanders defense is going to have success. Then we'll talk about Brandon McManus replacements. Of course, the team released him yesterday. They're currently looking at candidates right now. We'll go over the top options and who I think the Commanders should sign as their next kicker. But before we get into that, make sure you click that thumbs up icon because producer Coop gave me a bet, all right? Because last week I think we did either a like battle or a comment battle, and the Cowboys Report beat us, all right? They beat us.
Easy money.
It was kind of a blowout. The Cowboys Report beat us, but this week we're doing another like battle. We wanted a rematch because I know you guys are going to deliver. Yesterday's Cowboys Report video got 666 likes.
Weird.
We're going to beat it today, Coop.
You're not going to beat it, just like you never beat the Cowboys on the field. It just won't happen, plain and simple. I don't believe in the Commanders faithful to be able to get enough likes on this video.
You heard Coop. He's got a big mouth. Shut it for him right now by clicking that thumbs up icon right now and helping us beat the Cowboys Report today. So let's talk about this trade target here because I think that James Daniels, guard for the Pittsburgh Steelers, could potentially be on the trade block. And I think the Commanders could maybe think about replacing Nick Allegretti, who, yes, they brought in free agency. It sounds like they believe in him, but I honestly think James Daniels, who's been a really established, top 20 guard in football, who is starting to probably be made available here by the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's not going to cost all that much. I think I would trust James Daniels more than Nick Allegretti because, listen, man, I think Allegretti is a really tough individual. I mean, he played in a Super Bowl last year after tearing his UCL. This guy is a tough son of a gun. I get why fans like him, but he's never been a full-time starter in the National Football League, ever. He's only had to come in as an injury replacement, as a rotational piece, and I think there might be a reason for that, and I'm worried that Allegretti's going to go out there and he's going to be a bottom-level starting guard in the National Football League, and the Commanders are going to be like, we have no other options on the interior here, and it's going to be a big problem. However, Daniels is 26 years old, so he's not only a short-term answer, but if you give him a new contract here, and again, he's a guard, so it's not going to cost all that much, you have both of your guards set up for probably the next 5 years or so with Sam Cosmi and James Daniels on either side of the offensive line. Tyler Biadasz is fine at center, and you really solidify the middle of this offensive line to protect Jaden Daniels here so that he doesn't get too much pressure on him to start his NFL career. Daniels can also play center if you need him to move in there. He's got that versatility, and he would be an immediate upgrade over Nick Allegretti, in my opinion. There's no question about that, and I do think that James Daniels is one of the better starting guards in the National Football League. The Steelers drafted 2 interior offensive linemen that are both looking good in their OTAs, so this is certainly something that Washington could potentially pull off if they don't feel 100% confident in Nick Allegretti, and he comes relatively cheap in a trade, and I do think that the Steelers, they have a history of trading offensive linemen. Just last year, they traded Kevin Dotson to the Los Angeles Rams for a couple of pick swaps, and it ended up working out extremely well for Los Angeles, as Kevin Dotson was actually an excellent offensive guard for them in 2023. He was the second highest graded guard according to Pro Football Focus last year after the Pittsburgh Steelers essentially gave up on him, and it seems like the Steelers are about to do the same thing to James Daniels. Who knows? If Daniels comes to the Commanders, Washington could have one of the better offensive guards in football traded to them for a very good price. So here is the potential trade offer here for James Daniels here. So you get James Daniels, and then you get a couple pick swaps here where you essentially trade those 4th-round picks, 4th for a 5th, and then a 5th for a 6th. Steelers move up a couple picks in a couple different drafts, and then Washington gets James Daniels, and they move down, but they don't lose any picks in the future. So let me know what you guys think about this trade down there in the comments section. Would you accept this trade? Type A for accept or D for decline. Let me know how you're feeling down there in the comments section. All right, so for personally, guys, I would accept this trade offer because, like I said, I don't have the most confidence in the world with Nick Allegretti. I think he's a good backup. I think he's one of the better backup caliber kind of guards in football, but James Daniels is an established player. I think that with those 2 pick swaps, you're not necessarily losing picks. You're just moving down a couple of rounds there. But I think that would certainly be something that helps this team. And at this point, I'm doing whatever I can to help Jaden Daniels, flourish in his first couple years here in the National Football League. However, I think probably the more likely trade target on the Steelers that the Commanders could go out and get is Dan Moore Jr., who plays left tackle. He's been their starting left tackle for the last several seasons. And now that the Steelers have spent first-round picks on 2 offensive tackles in Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu over the last 2 drafts, it looks like Dan Moore Jr. is going to get phased out and possibly traded this offseason. Moore said earlier this offseason during OTAs that he doesn't even feel comfortable playing at right tackle, telling the media that he doesn't feel comfortable playing swing tackle, which is essentially what the Steelers would want him to do as the backup offensive tackle on that football team. So if he's not going to be a swing tackle, maybe the Steelers say we can get the most value out of him by trading him away. And if Troy Fautanu really impresses during OTAs like he has to this point, and he takes the starting job away from Dan Moore Jr., I do think that he could get traded, and he would provide stability, at least to some degree, for the Washington Commanders. He's younger. He's got really good physical attributes as well, so he could even be a play for the long term at left tackle, maybe play Brandon Coleman at guard or at right tackle moving forward. And Dan Moore is certainly somebody that is trained by Duke Manyweather, who is one of, if not the best offensive line trainer in the world. So this is certainly somebody with a pedigree. He's got really good physical attributes. He has lots of experience in the league, and I would take Dan Moore Jr. over what the Commanders have right now in Cornelius Lucas and Brandon Coleman right now. So here is what the trade would look like here, folks. Not a 2024 4th rounder. That'd be a 2025 4th rounder, and then a 2026 5th rounder, and then Dan Moore would come to the Commanders, and then you would move down a couple rounds in those respective drafts, a 5th rounder in 25 and a 6th rounder in 26. I'll let you know whether I would accept this trade offer or decline it here in a second. But today we're talking about protecting Jaden Daniels because he is the future of this football team here. And if you believe in Jaden Daniels, you want to own his jersey today, go ahead and go to chatsports.com/Daniels. And if you use that link, guys, I'll put that link in the comments and description. If you use that link and you make a purchase, Fanatics is going to give us a portion of the proceeds. So really do appreciate all of your support. Make sure you go to chatsports.com/Daniels. Click that link. Make a purchase today if you want a new Jaden Daniels jersey and to help out the channel. So personally, guys, I would accept this trade for Dan Moore Jr. as well. Now, I don't think they would trade for both James Daniels and Dan Moore Jr. It's probably going to be one or the other. That's if they make the trade or any trade at all. But I would definitely bring in Dan Moore Jr. He'd bring in more stability, lots of experience, a lot better than what the Commanders have right now. And I think it would do Jaden Daniels a lot of good to have somebody solid and with experience on the left side of his offensive line. But honestly, guys, I'd probably rather go out and get David Bakhtiari. If Bakhtiari wants to come to Washington, he is the best offensive tackle on the free agency market right now, and I think Bakhtiari is a better pass protector than Dan Moore Jr. is in his career to this point. So I do think Bakhtiari would be my number one choice, but he might not want to come to Washington. He's getting a bit older. He might not want to go to a rebuilding project team or whatever the case may be. But I really do think that, Dan Moore Jr. would improve what the Commanders have on the O-line right now. So now let's shift gears here from the offensive line to the defensive secondary here. And there's been another concerning Emmanuel Forbes photo that has surfaced that makes him look extremely skinny and thin next to his counterpart in Benjamin St-Juste. I mean, this photo has been swirling around social media here, and a lot of people are looking at the legs of Emmanuel Forbes, and people are saying it looks like grandma knees and all this different stuff, and putting pretzel sticks on his legs. And you look at Benjamin St-Juste standing next to him, and he looks like a fully built NFL cornerback, and Emmanuel Forbes looks like a high schooler out there, man, with the skinny arms and the skinny legs. It's just, why this? So I get why people are like, Jack, why is this concerning, all right? If he's good at football, what does it matter what he looks like? Well, at the end of the day, man, if you are not strong enough to go up against some of these bigger, stronger receivers like A.J. Brown and D.K. Metcalf that actually burnt Emmanuel Forbes in his rookie season, right? It's just not really physically possible to go up against these guys and really have success when they're that much stronger, they're that much bigger than you. And, I do think that because he's going to be heading into this season, once again, undersized, I think it limits what he's going to be able to do in terms of where he can line up, who he can line up against, all these different things. And I think it really limits his ability to be a true number one corner. But that means somebody else needs to step up, not named Emmanuel Forbes. And I think the Commanders are hoping that it's going to be Benjamin St-Juste. Because if we look at that picture again, Benjamin St-Juste looks like a legit jacked up, big NFL corner. And that's always been, kind of the positive thing with BSJ, is that he's fully sized, right? He's almost 200 pounds. He's tall. He's got long arms. These are always been positives about BSJ's game. But I'm also not thrilled if you're expecting him to be that number one corner that's going to be going up against these big X receivers that are also extremely fast, because Benjamin St-Juste does not have very good long speed. You remember his relative athletic score a couple years back here when he was coming out of Minnesota. A 4.55, it's just not very good. It was in the very poor category there. And, going up against A.J. Browns and DK Metcalfs and these guys that are big but also fast, I'm just not sure if Benjamin St-Juste is fast enough to really go up against the fastest receivers in the league and survive. And that's kind of been shown by his career Pro Football Focus grades to this point. His rookie season, he took his lumps 53.6, and it's gotten better in the 2 years since then. But it's not like he's, showing to be like a high-end starting corner. It looks like he's ranking out at about like the 82nd, 86th best corner in football over the last 2 seasons, and he's kind of leveled out there and plateaued. Is he going to be able to get better in this new system? I guess the Commanders are hoping he's going to do that, but the Commanders are really, really hoping that Benjamin St-Juste is going to be able to handle these bigger receivers that can also run excellent routes. And I'm just saying that I'm a little bit concerned right now. So let me know down there in the comments section. Do you share my concern about the Commanders' cornerback room, or am I, blowing this out of proportion? Put it on a scale of your concern from 1 to 10. 1 being I'm not worried about it at all, to 10 being I'm extremely worried this cornerback room stinks. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. So before I go, I want to talk some kicker candidates here because, of course, Brandon McManus was cut from this football team yesterday due to some sexual assault allegations that apparently the Commanders feel are, at least valid enough to get rid of him. So listen, man, I think that the top target that the Commanders should go out and try to pursue is Jake Bates, the kicker from the Michigan Panthers in the UFL. He had a 64-yard field goal just earlier this season for the Panthers. This guy's got a rocket leg, and I think by far he is the best kicker that's on the open market that doesn't belong to an NFL team right now. Some other options: Randy Bullock was a starting kicker for a team last year. Mason Crosby is somebody that has a lot of experience. A lot of these guys are older, and even some of them are retired. Brett Maher, Ryan Suckup, Robbie Gould, Dan Bailey, Kai Forbath, Blair Walsh. Come on now. There's just not a lot of great options for the Commanders right now. Would I say go out and get Jake Bates? But let me know down there in the comment section, which kicker do you want the Washington Commanders to bring in for the 2024 season to replace Brandon McManus? That'll be it for today's show, guys. I appreciate all the real ones that stuck with me here to the end of today's program. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now for free and daily Commanders news and rumors coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason.